Hey, this is Pastor Mark. On today's episode of the Fultondale First Podcast, I sit down with Joey Hocutt from the Baptist Foundation of Alabama, and you'll hear how God is using that foundation in amazing ways and how we're connected and partnered with that organization in ways you probably didn't even know, and how God can use you to have an even greater impact.
Welcome to the Fultondale First Podcast. Our mission at Fultondale First is to love God, love people, and make disciples. And this podcast is aimed to help you join that mission. Thanks for joining us for this episode.
Welcome to today's episode of the Fultondale First Podcast. And I'm excited. I'm here with my friend, Joey Hocutt. And he has got a very interesting role. And his job is not just a job, it's a ministry that we partner with as a Southern Baptist Church in Alabama. And so I'm going to let him tell you about that. But first, Joey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
And
appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited you're here.
Yeah, me too.
So tell us a little bit about you and your story,
Yeah.
and kind of how God got you to the Baptist Foundation of Alabama, where you serve.
Thank you. I'll really try to make this short, but I'm a military guy, military kid. My dad was in the military, and I was born in California, moved to Louisiana, and then I came to Alabama. So I grew up in Fayette, Alabama, which is just about an hour west of Tuscaloosa, and started school there. Went all the way through. Went to undergrad at UNA and got a degree in political science and history. And I really just wanted to be a lawyer. I always knew I wanted to go to law school, and the Lord was gracious and kind. He allowed me to be able to get entrance at the University of Alabama Law School, and I graduated from there in 1999. And then I started practicing law. I did real estate and business, and I did a lot of probate work and estate planning, and just trying to help folks, do right, and help folks, with problems that they had. But the way that I describe it is there was kind of a longing in my heart for, first of all, let's back up. I mean, the Lord saved me when I was 9, and I wasn't always growing the way that I should, but around the time that I started undergrad, I began to really dig into the Word. Had some mentors. I really met a guy when I was starting law school who was a mentor to me. He taught me how to really study the Bible, and so I was kind of on fire for the Lord at that point. And so I went through law school, and then I started practicing, and I just I loved what I did. But about 15 years in, I began to get a stirring, and I didn't really know what that was. I began to understand from the Lord that He wanted me to do something for Him, more for Him. Not that I wasn't trying to live my life for Him while I was practicing, but I think He wanted me. I felt like He wanted me to be more involved in ministry somehow, and I really didn't know what that meant. I really didn't have a clue how I could use my skills and what I knew and what I had been doing for Him. And so in about 2003, I met a guy named Barry Bledsoe. And I met him because we had an issue with an estate plan at my church. And I won't go into all that. It was a long process. It was a hard process, but I met him, and he helped me kind of walk through those steps. And the way that I describe this is it's kind of strange. From 2003 to 2013, when I came on with the foundation, I just had a real interest, a keen interest in what these guys were doing. I was real interested in it. I would keep up with them on the website. I would hear about things that they were doing, and I was just real interested. I didn't know why. I didn't really know that was my future. But in 2013, I really had a real urgent sense that it was something I needed to do. And the Lord kind of brought Barry's name back up in my heart. And so I reached out to him, and I called him, and I said, "Man, I don't know why I'm calling you, but I want you to help me think through these things." He was also an attorney who had come to the foundation in 2001. And so we began a process of meeting together and praying together. He invited me down to the office one day, and lo and behold, I didn't know what was going to happen, but he sent me an email and said, "I really think that you need to be part of our team." And so he kind of sent me an offer, and part of the offer was, we don't want you to come to Montgomery. That's where the foundation office is located. We want you to stay where you are. I live in Tuscaloosa area, and he said, "I want you to stay where you are, work in that area, and just help us be better at what we do. And so that's how I got here almost 12 years ago.
Wow.
So it's a pretty good story. I'm
love
so
that
thankful.
story.
So
I
thankful.
love that
to the Lord.
story.
Yeah, it's a good story.
First of all, I didn't know you were born in California.
Yeah, I was. My dad was in the Air Force out there, and I was born on an Air Force base.
Wow. I had no idea.
Sure enough.
Californian.
In California, yeah.
So
I don't remember living there.
Right. You wouldn't claim it probably even if you did. And also, your story to me, it resonates, I think, with a lot of people because I think a lot of us, we have that longing or that sense that God's telling us, and we have that same struggle. Like, okay, God, I know you put something in my heart. I don't know what this means, right?
That's right.
And I think that's a great testimony of just continuing to be persistent in following God's leading.
I agree, and part of it's patience, which I'm not really strong on most of the time. But I just knew that the Lord was speaking to me in that way. I just felt like He was telling me to wait. Just hold on.
Yep.
I'll show you, and He did. And He did. And I plan to be doing what I'm doing until I'm done doing.
Yep. So, that's awesome.
That's the plan.
Well, I think it's a great place to be involved in.
It's fantastic.
So I'm going to share a little bit, probably later, but I'm going to share a little bit about my heart for Baptist Foundation of Alabama. But it is near and dear to me because it's helped me in our planning in terms of our family. But I don't want to steal your thunder. So tell us a little bit about what you do and what the Baptist Foundation of Alabama is all about.
Yeah, so my particular role at the foundation, because I am an attorney, I really operate in the area of what we call legacy planning, which Mark, you said you would mention about your own experience with that. But I have a real strong passion for what we do, and I do particularly for helping families. Number one, plan. Mm-hmm. Please get a plan in place. You don't want to leave that up to the state of Alabama. They have a will written for you, but you don't want to use that one. You don't want it. It does not go like you would want it to go to the people that you want it to go to, the things that you have, and it certainly doesn't benefit any kind of kingdom cause. So please, everybody needs a plan. 70% of people in Alabama don't have one. So if you're young and you have children, you need a plan. Who's going to take care of your children? Right. If you're a median adult, older adult, you've got some resources that you can use. Most of the time, I say this is most all the time, a person's largest opportunity to be a good steward comes when they pass away. And so you accumulate assets, and some of those assets are taxable assets, and people don't think about what happens when you pass those assets down without proper planning. And so
it can be a mess.
I'm passionate about helping people think through those things biblically. Yep. We have a good friend of mine that coined this phrase: your planning should begin not in your lawyer's office, but on your knees. So
that's good.
Don't just go to the lawyer. Now, I am that lawyer that would that people would come into back in the days when I was practicing. They would say, "Listen, I'm about to go to the Philippines on a mission trip. I need something by tomorrow." Well, I'd put it in place for them. But at that time, I wasn't thinking about stewardship.
Right.
And part of my process is now I get to be on the other side of that, trying to make up for some of those times when I didn't do that,
right, and
help folks think about being good stewards in their stewardship. But that's not all we do at the foundation. The foundation is an entity of the state convention. We receive a little cooperative program money. We have several ministries that we offer. We invest money for churches and for entities. Really, what we want to do is help churches have more financial resources to do more ministry.
That's right.
We want to help churches do ministry and do it better and do it more. And so, the ministries that we have are we have a scholarship program. I was just talking to Mark about that before we came on. That's a process from December 1st to February 28th. Anybody that's a senior in high school or a college student, certainly seminary students, go on and apply. It's too late this year, but every year from December 1st to the last day of February, you can go on and apply. We have a church loan program. If you need to borrow money to build, churches need that. We can help them do that. If you need a capital campaign to pay off debt or to raise money to build, we can do that as well. We also have an online giving platform, It's called Give 365 that we kind of fashioned during COVID for churches that didn't have that process. So we also have that, and we're starting a new one, ministry accounting. Churches, sometimes have folks in their church that do the finances for 30 or 40 years, and then when those folks leave, they don't have an option.
Right.
They can outsource that to us, and we can handle that for them. That's a brand new offering that we have. So lots of good things that the foundation can help churches with and individuals, and we love to serve.
Well, I think that's awesome, and I think you said this, but what I love about the Baptist Foundation is the kingdom is front and center.
Front and center.
It's like, how can we be stewards of what God has given us?
That's right.
And how can we leverage that, however little or however much it is, to make an impact well beyond our lifetime?
That's right.
And that's really what impacted me in this process. So I'll tell my story a little bit. Several years ago, I had no plan.
Yeah.
And I had no plan because I thought I had nothing to plan.
That's right.
Right. I mean, I've been a pastor.
It's a common misconception.
Right. I don't have many resources.
That's right.
Well, come to find out, I had life insurance. I did have more resources than I thought.
That's right.
And honestly, I was leaving a mess behind. If I had died or, at any point without a plan, I mean, I really was making life miserable for my kids
That's right.
and my family.
That's right.
And so I was just convicted. You know what? That's a terrible way to treat people that I love.
Yeah.
And so I also became convicted when I heard somebody, it may have been you, it probably was you, talk about legacy planning, that, at this point in my life, before I had that plan, I'm going to die and I'm leaving zero ripple with whatever resources I have for eternity.
That's a good way to put it.
And that's just wrong, right?
Yeah,
and so,
I
so I was just convicted. And so I went into this kind of blind and thinking, well, I don't have much, right? And I don't, but the reality is, with a little bit of planning, the impact can far outsize whatever resources you have. And so, I loved the process. It was easy. It was simple. It took a few conversations and a meeting, and, it was seamless.
That's good.
And I'm so thankful for this process because, my hope is, Joey, that I live for a while to have an impact.
That's right.
But if I don't, I know that because I was here and had a plan, I will have an impact.
That's fantastic.
And I think there's a lot of people like that.
There are. What you said something that resonates with me, and I like to talk about a good bit. The parable of the talents is something I go to often. That parable teaches us a lot of things. But one of the things that it teaches us is that the Lord doesn't treat everybody the same. Mm-hmm. Somebody gets 1, somebody gets 10. And so, whatever you have is what you have. First of all, we're called to be satisfied with where the Lord puts us. And my state, my net worth, my, everything that I have doesn't look like Mark's. It doesn't look like yours, doesn't look like whoever's. Everybody's different.
That's right.
But the Lord calls us all to be a faithful steward. And so whatever you have is what you have. And one day we all stand before the Lord if we're believers, and we'll answer for the way that we stewarded the things, the relationships that we have, the work that we've done, and also the resources that He's given us. And so we all want to hear you've been faithful, you've been a good steward. And so we don't want to leave that undone. Like Mark was saying, we want to take care of that. We want to make sure that our husband or our wife knows the things that are out there. They want to make sure that we leave enough for them to deal with. But also, Christians give to their churches all of their lives. They give to other missions causes. They might love the Children's Home. They might love the International Mission Board or the Cooperative Program. Why would, at the very end, when we have an opportunity to be a steward, why would we forget it then? I'm a graduate of 2 different universities, and I get something from them in the mail about every day, asking me for a donation, asking me for a planned gift, leave something in my will for them. Why would the church not be doing that? And I know sometimes that may say, well, we don't want the church asking us for things, but think about it. the church is the place that we love. The church is the place that, where we were when we were saved, a lot of us, where we got married, where our children were born,
That's right.
all that good stuff. So it's just a place that we want to be good stewards and leave a lasting legacy. And you can, you can leave a gift that could go on forever after
That's
you're
right.
gone until Jesus comes
That's right.
back and make a difference in the lives of people, make a difference in the lives, and people coming to know Christ, people being able to go to school and become a missionary, become a pastor. It's amazing what you can do.
It is. In fact, our church has someone who did that. So
Yeah.
Ken Rick went through the planning process with Baptist Foundation. And so we get a check. Our church gets a check every year.
That's awesome.
And it's growing every year.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the idea.
That family is having an eternal impact.
That's so good.
And those of you who know the Rick family, if you've been here a long time, my wife grew up in this church. And so, she remembers them well.
That's good.
They came to visit her when she was in college as a freshman.
Yeah.
But just loving people. Well, they continue that love and that impact.
What a testimony, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's amazing. So I want to ask this. Obviously, Baptist Foundation does a lot. You mentioned a lot of the things
Right.
that you guys are involved in, and all of them have a tremendous amount of impact. So, what does that process of legacy planning, what does that process look like for somebody who may be watching or listening to this who think, it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
It's really not. What does it involve?
Yeah. So if a member of Fultondale Baptist Church, First Baptist Church, wants to go through planning, it's real easy. You just reach out to somebody at the foundation. You reach out to me. I'm on the website. Call me up and let's have a conversation about what you think you need to do. And the process is that we put you in touch with a planning coach, and those planning coaches are fantastic at what they do. They're
Yep.
the best that I've ever seen. Going through all of the things that you have and the things that you want to do. And when I say that, some people think, well, I don't want to give somebody that I don't know all of my business. Well,
Right.
That's not what it is.
Right.
You don't have to tell people your social security number or your bank, routing number, all that kind of stuff. It's not about that. It's about general ideas about the things that you have, like, the house that you own, the cars that you own, the life insurance that you might have, a 401k or an IRA. And you just kind of get a picture of what you have. These guys will put together something for you that shows you if you passed away and you left it like you have it now, or if you don't have a plan at all, like if you passed away, this is how it would go. This is how you wanted it to flow. This is how taxes might affect you. This is how giving would help you. And they just give you a picture of kind of what you have now and what you would want to do later on. And then what happens is you say, listen, this is what I want to do. I want to change it to this. And you go back and forth as many times as necessary. We have some people that it takes, a couple of months to get through. Some people might take 6 or 8 months,
Right.
depending on where you are. Hard decisions have to be made. I'll give you an example. My wife and I, we have parents who are the same age, same town, same, health. They're both healthy as they can be. We had to make a decision. Like, if we passed away, now I almost don't have minor children anymore.
Right.
My
Almost grown.
My youngest one's 17. But we had to make a decision. Like, who's going to take them?
Right.
One of our parents, needs to take our children, and we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but at some point you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
So it's hard decisions to make about things like that. And then as you get older, you don't have that decision to make anymore, but you also have decisions to make about who's going to get what you have and
That's right.
all that kind of stuff. You also have to decide if you have a child that, is not where he or she needs to be in their walk with the Lord, or maybe they have a drug problem. I have a friend who has 3 children, and one of them has been on drugs on and off for 20 years. And that person says, I'll no more leave them money. I could kill them if I did that.
Right.
So you might have to make hard decisions about treating children differently. So it's a real easy process. It gives you the opportunity to think about all of the things that are out there, decisions that things that you never thought you would need to even think about.
That's
and
right.
then you go back and forth until you get to a place where you say, this is what I want. And you have a plan. And that plan is given to an attorney. We have a group of attorneys across the state. You might have an attorney of your own. I don't even know who you use, Mark, but we have a group of attorneys, and they're used to doing this kind of work. And so you get put with them, and then they prepare those documents for you. And then the only cost to the member, to the church, is those drafting fees, and those are greatly reduced fees.
Yep.
And so it's a wonderful process. Anybody could do.
It really
it's not
is.
hard.
I mean, these coaches know the right questions
They know
to
them.
ask.
Yeah, they know them. Yeah, they get to the heart of the matter.
Yep.
And make you think about those things that you never thought about before.
Yeah, because I mean, really, I think most people, at least when they think about leaving this earth and the resources they have, at least they think about, well, I want to take care of my family, those kind of things, which is a noble desire.
Yeah.
But I started thinking, I do want to take care of my family, but I don't want to. I mean, I don't think it's a wise decision to leave everything I have to my family, because they're not going to be to the point in maturity and wisdom and experience enough to know what to do with all those resources. But I certainly want to bless them.
Sure.
But man, how much better for eternity in the kingdom would it be if I left some to the kingdom and had an impact? And that's really, to me, that's what it was all about.
It's fantastic. There's a verse, and any other time I could recall, it's in one of the Timothys, right?
Sure.
It's in either first or second, where Paul says something to the effect of, a person who doesn't take care of their family is worse than an unbeliever.
Yep.
So, we never want to pretend like we're trying to say, cut out family members or do that. That it's opposite of that. We want everyone to take care of their family. That's what you should do. But then there's room to provide for the kingdom as well.
Right.
You can do them both. Sometimes, and this is intriguing, this may get folks thinking, sometimes you can give money twice and cut out the government. And I think we're probably pretty
sounds really good.
100% on that. So there are ways to do that if you have certain kinds of accounts that you save money in for retirement. So it's worth exploring for
Absolutely.
anybody that wants to do that, and anybody your church is we can do that for them.
Absolutely. So if you are a part of our church, you're going to hear more about the Baptist Foundation of Alabama, because they're actually going to come in and do some kind of a seminar for us on this very thing.
Yep.
But Joey, in the meantime, if somebody watching or listening has been intrigued by this and they think, you know what, I need to do this, no matter where they are, young, middle-aged, old, whatever, how can they do that? What's the step they need to take?
Yeah, so two different ways, I would say. Just go to the website, look for me, find my number, and call me. Second way is you can just go on the website and go to the legacy giving part, click on that, and there's an intake form there. If you just fill out, you literally will be in it. You'll be in. If you do that, in the next 2 days after that, you'll receive a call from our planning coaches. That'll be a first introductory call that'll just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, want to get to know you. And then they'll set another call in the future for, to begin that process.
That's
so
awesome.
It's real easy.
Yeah, it really is.
If it's more comfortable, feel free to call me, and I can get you into that same process after you and I have a conversation. It's easy.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, we're going to put the Baptist Foundation of Alabama's website in the show notes, and if it's okay, I'll put your email in there too.
Please do,
so they can reach out and do it that way.
Yep.
Man, I have enjoyed, as always, hanging out with you.
Yes, it's
and
good.
I'm so thankful for you, for the Baptist Foundation of Alabama, and what you guys do.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful you took some time to come over and spend some time.
Anytime I can hang out with Mark Gainey is fun. Mark is a dear friend, and of course, I mean, he does a great job here at Fultondale, but also across the state. A disciple maker, a leader in disciple making across the state, and we get to hang out with these guys at the convention every year, and fantastic work that is going on here and across the state. So be thankful for your pastor.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, man.
But thank you, and I know that this episode in particular has been very encouraging, and I think is probably going to cause some people to rethink some things. So,
yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming, and thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode.
Help us spread the word about the podcast by sharing on socials too. Thanks again, and we'll see you next episode.